Welcome to Session 8, Interviewing to Gather In-Depth Information. Last week, we did the Session 7, which was on writing the case plot. This program is on enhancing executive capability and decision-making skills with in-company case studies. This is being brought to you by METL Global Perspectives, www.metl.in. Gathering in-depth information. We have already discussed about getting information from the protagonist and asking the right questions. We have also talked of a questionnaire being sent to them and interacting with them so that we can gather the information the way they perceive the situation. Often they state what happened in a way that they wanted to be depicted in the case, and it might not be the complete story or not the truth. Also, the protagonist might not be hiding the facts. At times, they just forget a crucial detail here and there, and you bringing them up helps in completing the story. Getting the story right. An interview at this stage is to get the complete story. This might be the last time you are interviewing individuals or protagonists before submitting the first version of the case. You can only get it once the case plot is there and there seems to be some assumptions, unknown elements, or missing pieces that seem to make you uncomfortable. You might have to ask a few questions, tactfully though. As a case writer, it's your job to bring out the right story to the readers, not to be a mouthpiece for the protagonist or the organization that has commissioned you for this. At the same time, be tactful so that the protagonist does not get upset. 4 types of questions. Depicting the sequence of events correctly and putting all information comprehensively is the task of the case writer. The case writer might have to investigate a bit more for getting the information, but one need not be like an interrogator. They can be a little bit about investigation, but definitely not interrogation. There are 4 types of questions that you use for the purpose: prompting questions, probing questions, information-seeking questions, and counter questions. Mind you, I must alert you at this stage is that since the protagonist has given you enough of information that you have been seeking, at the stage when you go with the questions, they need not be the very fundamental ones. You should have done your studies properly before you reach out for more questions at this stage. Prompting questions. Questions that prompt a discussion to get started, but at this stage they are one level deeper. For instance, how did you get the idea to start this product line that led to huge profits? Did you have someone guiding you? Is there a process to it? Did you see this being done somewhere, some other country, some other location, some other geography? Even though the projected profitability is low for this new product line, the team decided to go for it. Any particular reason for that? Probing questions. These questions are like the why questions that go deeper into a particular issue. Earlier the rejects were high. Now they are in control. What happened in between? You had earlier said that it just happened like that, but there must be something more than just like that. Can I talk to the team that helped stabilize the process parameters? So these are the kind of probing questions you might like to ask at this stage. They are not about the situation, but one level beyond that. Insight-seeking questions. These questions are based on insights that are outside the purview of the company but are relevant. So these you could have got from some newspaper clippings or some article, but you kind of bring in the relevance to ask the questions here. These questions can also ask the protagonist to state the sequence of activities that happened while recollecting the incidents. What did other companies in the industry do as they were faced with the same scenario? There are other companies globally available that make this product. Why didn't you license the technology from them instead of spending a few years figuring out the technology? What were the other options evaluated before you narrowed down on this technology? Counter questions. These questions challenge the protagonist on certain aspects of decision that need to be asked with sensitivity. I understand that what you're saying, but is it the real issue? What is really as difficult as it seems? What is the underlying root cause? If I can build it into the case, it will be much more educative to the readers. I would like to reiterate that one needs to be sensitive while asking these questions, and specifically the counter questions. There are some reasons why the protagonist has left out the details before. But as you start writing the case, those details are like big missing pieces, and you can't construct a canvas without those. So you have to ask. But how you ask is very crucial here. Wording the questions correctly. At this stage, you have to be sensitive to these things. Earlier you were just asking the questions and they were responding. But here, these are these in-depth questions, and therefore you need to be cautious on them. Consider the question below. Would you have the data to support the decision made at this juncture, or was it largely a gut feel or a top management imposed decision? A question like this would most likely upset the protagonist. Instead, you can ask differently. Would you have the data to support the decision made at this juncture, or was it largely the combined expertise of the team? If you ask the second one, the protagonist would most likely give the correct response and engage into a discussion with you, trying to respond in a way which is possible. Instance of wording incorrectly. This is why I keep on saying that one has to be very cautious in the counter questions, and this is the example that I am sharing with you, which happened with me. In one of the cases I was writing, the protagonist dropped the case as I asked, "What took you so long to establish these 3 subsidiary organizations?" It was very evident in the value chain of business that these 3 subsidiary organizations can be spun off as different businesses. So I asked this question upfront. The CEO, who was the protagonist, he was the CEO of the group, was upset, and after some time I got the news that the case will have to be abandoned. I realized that I should have been more tactful, and due to my blunder, the readers would not be getting a very nice story to get to hear more about it. It was a very, very beautiful case. The end product was very unique. The in stages were 2 different unique elements which could be having their own markets. Since they were vertically integrated, these new markets did not happen. When they were broken up into other companies, separate entities, the markets developed for those sub products also. And obviously the organization grew a lot with that. The question therefore was that to the CEO is that why did you take so long to break this up? Why didn't you see that potential before? Obviously there must be some reason for him to be doing that. A CEO is a very smart person. They would know what is happening, what should be done, and what is the right time. It was dumb of me to ask the question like that. I should have been a little more sensitive. Questions. In the case that you are writing, what is the in-depth information that you need? How do you ask the prompting, probing, insight seeking, and the counter questions? Does your look comprehensive, tightly knit? Message me your queries and I will try to revert as soon as I can. Reach me at saugata@metl.in. Next week, I'll bring you the session 9, which is on case questions for debrief. Happy case writing.